Hey guys, Bill Soriano back from Pittsburgh. It is Thursday, March 26th, and it's been a while since I made a video showing you our ATH flow strategy with trendline on the 1 minute time frame. So it has been a while because what happened was I found that was actually getting, if you can believe it or not, I was actually getting too many trading opportunities. I mean, I was getting as many as five or six, even more than that during the New York session, trade opportunities during the day. And what I found was that that's just too many to manage. And it also, there seems to be like a direct correlation between how many trading opportunities you get with a strategy and and the win rate. And so what happens is it seems like the more you get, the more opportunities you get, the win rate seems to go down. And so what I found was that the win rate was deteriorating. And so what happens is when your win rate starts to deteriorate below that uh, 50%, 40, 45% level, even though you are still profitable when you're going for a 1 to 2 risk to reward on each trade. What happens is you get these periods where you can lose four, five, six, seven, even more trades in a row. And this has a very, very dramatic effect on the mindset of some people. Some people's mindset just isn't equipped to handle that many losses in a row. And if we remember from what Mark Douglas says in Trading in the Zone, right? Um, there's a random number of wins and losses for any set of variables that define the trade, right? And that's a random set of wins and losses. We just don't know how they're going to come, right? And so sometimes once your win rate starts to deteriorate below that 45% level, even though you're still profitable, you could then incur a string of losses that may just shake your confidence and knock you out of the game. So to avoid that, we needed to start looking at I needed to start looking at things differently. The guys in the community were already doing this, so I reached out to my mentor in the community and kind of seen what they were doing with the strategy. And what I found was that they're really perfecting the strategy to take only the A plus and the A setups. And that's, giving them, they're looking for 1 or 2 trades a day. That's it, right? 1 trade a day is fine. 2 trades a day, that would be the max. So they're looking for 1 to 2 trades a day. And so they've refined the strategy. They didn't refine it, they've been doing it all along. But for me, I'm refining the strategy so that we're only taking those A plus or A setups, right? And so what that looks like is this. This is the original strategy is, ATH flow with trend line, 1 minute time frame. The indicators are ATH flow, which again is a community indicator. So you have to become a customer of our company to get access to everything in our community, including our community indicator, the ATH flow. And you can become a customer of the community today. I can give you the link. You pay for your membership. You can try things out for 7 days. You could try this strategy out for 7 days. And if you don't think it's going to work for you, you can go back to the company asking for your money back. And as long as you're within that 7 day window, they will give you the money back. No questions asked. People have done it before. Okay. And it's no big deal. So with this, we also have the trend line with breaks. That's a Lux Algo indicator that paints the trend lines for us. And so that way everyone is using the same trend lines instead of, if you have 10 expert traders draw you 10 different trend lines on charts, you're going to probably get, if you have them draw trend lines on charts for you, you're going to get 10 different trend lines probably. We have a 3 EMA and 1 indicator with the 55, 233, and 987 EMAs. This is used to determine the direction. For buys, you want those to line up from top to bottom. For sales, from bottom to top. And you won't take any trades if those EMAs don't line up. Now, the guys in community don't look at the higher time frame for the EMAs. They do look at the 5 minute to look to see if anything's in the way. like maybe an EMA or a trend line on the 5 minute that may be stopping them from hitting their take profit. So what I like to do is I like to look at the higher time frames, two higher time frames, the 5 and the 15. And I like to make sure that those indicators are aligned on those time frames. That way I don't have to worry about price running into a moving average and getting stopped because the moving average are already lined up. Okay. And what I'm finding is that by adding this criteria to the strategy, this eliminates a lot of those bad, not A or A plus setups that I was getting into. And if you look in the group, you'll see that a lot of these were winning. But then at some point, though, they do stop to lose. And so you need to focus on the better setups. And so that's the higher time frame. You want that ATH in the direction of the 1 minute and higher time frame trend. You want the break of the trend line and a confirmation candle. So and as you guys know, a lot of times the ATH could also break the trend line, and the candle that breaks the trend line can also be the confirmation candle, right? But one candle cannot do all three. Okay, so a candle can be the ATH candle and also break the trend line, and also a candle could break the trend line and be a confirmation candle, but one candle cannot be all three. Okay. Now let's look at this here. So this is USD CAD. This is one trade. Tuesday, Monday I didn't trade. Tuesday, I couldn't find any A or A plus setups, so I did not trade. I also checked with my mentor and he didn't find any either. So I know I was kind of on the right track. Now on Tuesday, I did find this one in USD CAD. Okay, and I'm going to show you where we got in at here, but you could see right here, see the three moving averages are in line, right? The blue is the 55, the red's the 233, and the black is the 987. So for buys, you want them in line. Now I'm going to show you, and they were also lined up on the 5 and the 15 minute. Okay. Now right here, and again, keeping in mind that I just trade during the New York session for 3 hours. I try to start right around that 10 a.m. and then go to 1 p.m. at the latest. And so I won't take any trades after 1 p.m. I try not to take trades before 10 a.m. because that a lot of times you have news. Like for instance, we had news today at 8:30, so that messes with things. But also that open at 9:30 kind of sometimes gives you crazy moves in the market, and I want to stay away from them. So I try to wait till after 9:45, most times till after 10 to actually take a trade. And so right here we get the ATH, and this is at 11:37. And you could see the indicator paints a lot, and the indicator alone, like I said, is not a buy or sell signal. We still need the trend line, the break of the trend line, the confirmation candle. We need all these criteria to line up. And then we also need to look at the setup as well. We need the moving averages on not only just the 1, but the 5 and the 15. But we also need, what we're looking for is this, and we had that here. You see how this is making a nice move up. It's making higher highs and higher lows. Right here, we get the ATH. The indicator paints a trend line, and then this candle right here breaks that trend line. Now, actually, as you could see here, it almost looks like this down candle closes above the trend line. I kind of got in this trade as this candle was forming. I usually like to wait for that candle to close, but because this candle did look like it closed above that trend line, maybe not, it didn't. Anyway, it's best to wait for this candle to close, but I did get in right there when it was about the halfway point. Okay. And you can see that it does close above, so that does end up being a candle. The ATH candle's here, and then this candle becomes the candle that actually closes above the trend line and is a continuation candle. Continuation candle should be a nice full-bodied candle like this, with and shouldn't have a very big wick to the top side if you're buying or to the downside if you're selling. Okay. That's what you want for a confirmation candle. That's the absolute best one. Okay. So we did get in the trade there. And like I said, I got in as this 1 minute candle was forming about halfway up with the spread. It put me in right there where I have the tool. Now, what we're looking for, this is what I wanted to show you guys. So we're looking for the very best trades, the A plus trades are when you have, let's say that this is your 55 EMA, okay? And it's moving up, okay? And then we have price kind of moving up here and respecting that 55, right? Making higher highs, making higher lows. Maybe it goes a little bit below the 55 here. It's not a big deal. You know, these are the points we want to see that 55. We want to see price respecting that 55, and we want to see it in an uptrend or a downtrend. And these are the areas where we want to see that ATH come out and get a trend line break, right? Now, if price does, we don't want to see the 55 running through price, right? A lot of times you'll see, let's see here. So a lot of times you might see price kind of consolidating like this, and you'll see that the 55 is kind of running through price like that. You know, you don't want to see something like that. You want to see price respecting the 55. Now, if it does, if it doesn't respect the 55, but it does bounce off the 233, then the 55 becomes invalid because obviously the higher the EMA, the more validation it has. So, you know, if you get price that does come deeply through that 55, but rejects off the 233, that's kind of a good situation too. But these are you know, those are the A situations, and these are the A plus situations here. Okay. So that's kind of what you have to look for, and that's a little subjective. Okay, but you can see that's where the subjectivity comes into play. There's a lot of objectivity in this trade. It's very objective in the fact that you have to wait for your alert to go off, which is your ATH flow. You have to get the trend line break and the continuation. And since we use the indicator to draw the trend lines, that's 100% objective there. And then you can see how price just consists. Now, price did move up and then it almost came down and went through our invalidation level here. But it turns around and then it just makes a nice move up and it just continues to move up here, eventually hitting the 1 to 2 take profit area, right? And you can see throughout overnight here, it just continued to then move up even higher, right? It kind of corrected, then moved up on even higher. And then, of course, now it's on its way down. Okay. So that's kind of the trade I had. That's the only one this week that I've taken so far. So again, we're just looking for 1 to 2 trades a day at most. If you don't get those A plus or A setups, and I'll do more training on what that actually is. I know at this point you don't really understand it, except for this little illustration I drew you here, but I'll show you that more. And actually, if I show you that in this trade here, you could see that price has been moving up, right? It did correct here, but then it made a move up, right? You got a change of character, you got a pull back, another break of structure to the upside. So it's making higher highs and higher lows. And then as you could see here, when you get the ATH come out here, it's respecting that 55. It does come down a little bit below it. That's okay, but it's respecting the 55. Okay. Now, if the 55 would have looked something like this, kind of going through price, then I probably wouldn't wanted this wouldn't be an A plus or A setup. But because price is respecting this 55 here, that gives us the opportunity to take this trade. And this is probably an A or an A. This is definitely an A, at least an A setup. I took it. Um, but that's kind of what we're looking at. So look for me to post more videos in the group here. My group on Facebook, which is, get out of here, Path to Success, right here. This is a private group. So if you are not a member of this group, send me a message so I can get you added to this group. Because this is where I'm going to post the images and screenshots of trades. Like I said, I haven't done that for a week or so because I've been refining this process now to where we only want to take A plus and A trades, um, maybe a B plus here or there, but that gives us like one or two opportunities a day. So any questions, let me know, drop them down below. If you want to get started with our company so you get access to our indicator, everything in our community, let me know. I'll send you a link today. Hey, I'm back here, guys. I decided to add on to a video that I made earlier today before I got it uploaded here on YouTube because I was explaining a new way to look at the strategy that I've been showing you guys that our community does using our community's ATH Flow indicator. And I did take some trades today. So I did win a trade, I lost a trade, and there was one trade that I stayed out of that I should have gotten in. This is the NZD USD trade. So again, we on this one here on the 1 minute, you could see that we did make a move up recently in this, but you could see this is the 987 price kind of it doesn't hit the 987, but you could see it rejecting off of that area and then rejecting off of the area again. Then it comes down, it breaks this structure here to the downside. And again, the moving averages are in line. The 55s below the 233. They're both below the 987. And that was the same on the higher time frames as well, right? This is the 5 minute and this is the 15 minute. So all the time frames lined up for me on this one. I didn't like the fact that it had made this big move up here. But like I said, it did reject off the 987 twice, and then it did make a break of structure here, causing a change of character back to the downside. Then we got the ATH here. You can see the trend line. You can also see price rejecting off of both the 233 and the 55 here. So these moving averages are really good at support and resistance. They're based off of the Fibonacci sequence numbers. Instead of just using a normal 50, 200, and 800, we use a 55, 233, and 987 because those numbers are part of the Fibonacci sequence. And if you need to know about the Fibonacci numbers and how they appear in every area of our lives, then just do a quick search of that because that will explain it better than I can. But right here, we had our ATH come out. And our trend line painted here was painted already. Price didn't quite break the trend line. We got a trend line break here, but it just wasn't real convincing. There's really no good continuation candle until right here. And then what I did was this was kind of a continuation candle right here, but it didn't break this low right here that was created. So I was just waiting. And as this candle here was forming, I already had my continuation candle, so I could have entered the trade there. But I chose to wait for a candle to break this area here. Now, I didn't have to wait for that candle to close because I already had my continuation candle here. So once this candle started moving down and broke that area, I got in the trade. Okay, and you can see price pulled back like it usually does. It came down where we have these set up for 1 to 2s, right? right? 1 to 2 risk to reward. You can see here the price makes this move down here, right? Gets to about a 1 to 1. We go for 1 to 2s, okay? Um, and what you're going to see here is that price comes back to break even, and then it makes its move down and hits my target for the win. So this was a good trade. This was a winning trade that I took this week. This was actually the first winning trade of the week for me, and it's Thursday. Now, I actually I misspoke there. Yesterday I had a winning trade as well in USD CAD. So this is my second winning trade. Monday, I didn't take any trades. I'm still kind of putting this together and watching the charts. Tuesday, there were nothing materialized, that met nothing A or A plus, right? No A or A plus setups. So now I lost a trade today in GJ. See if I could find this here where I got in. And so when you look at GJ here, it was moving up pretty good here. So it had already moved up. Let's see here. This is like 9. Here's the start of the New York Open right here. So you can see price already makes pretty move up. It pulls right back to the 50 here. Now we don't get an ATH signal here, right? It moves up, right? This candle right here closes above the trend line. We get a continuation candle here, but there's no ATH. But it does make a pretty good move up, and then it retraces. Now, when it retraces this time, notice how it goes down quite far past that 55. And so now what do you see? You see 55 going through price, right? And so now the moving averages were all in line at this time. And so I decided I took a swing at it. It was probably a B plus setup, not an A or an A plus. Why? Because price was going through, the 55 was going right through price. Okay. This kind of made too big of a drop down below the 55. Notice how here that didn't happen, right? Here drops down a little bit further, right? And because of that, what happens is I get in this trade here, right? Here's my ATH, here's my continuation. I jump in the trade. It does push up a little bit and then immediately it falls apart, right? And you can see it continues moving down now throughout the day. Okay. So that one, have we got an ATH come out right around here, right at 10:12 a.m., 10:13 a.m., this would have worked out to be a very good trade. We didn't. We then got that move. You could see here our price. See how it moves down below the 55 here, right? It tries to make a move back up, and then it moves even further down below. And then you have that 55 going right through price. This one I should have stayed out. This was actually the first trade I took today. I guess I got a little worried I wasn't going to find a trade today. And so I took what was best a B plus setup, probably a B setup, and you can see what happens there on that one. And the reason why it was a B setup is because, again, you could see this was like an A plus setup if we had the indicator go off because price responded. It reacted up off of that 55. It held, right? That 55 acted as support. Here, price goes through to 55. It comes back up, and then it goes even further down through to 55. And then that causes the 55 to run right through price here as I'm taking this trade. You get that little push, and then boom, it falls apart. Now, you'll see this in GA too here off of the top, but here was again, in this case, right around here, this 1034 candle, we do get an ATH, right? We do get an ATH. Now, one thing here to note, notice how price goes down through the 55 here, but it finds support at the 233. So when this happens, when you get a bounce off the 233, the 55 becomes irrelevant now. because the higher the EMA, the more relevance it holds, right? The more relevance it holds. So 233 will always outdo the 55 in that respect. So even though price did move down well below the 55, it does find support here at the 233. And then as it makes its move back up here, now I did not look at this here, right? This one I did not like, right? So see how we have an ATH here? I didn't look to enter here, right? First of all, it was a little bit, it was right around 10 a.m. That's usually when I start trading. But because this price had dropped down well below the 55, and the 55 was running right through price, I passed on this. I didn't look into that. Okay, but now when price comes down and hits this 233 and reacts up off of it, and then we get the ATH here, we have the trend line broken, we have an entry right there, and boom, we have this nice move up before it then makes its move back down, and then actually goes back up even further. But this was a trade I missed. And I passed on this trade because initially, because of this price action right in here. Okay. Now, what I should have realized was that once price comes down and it reacts off the 233, that invalidates the 55 here. And then as you can see here, though, as price moves back up, right before that ATH goes off, it does respect the 55 right there. So this was actually, I should have taken this trade. I didn't. And because I missed that, that's what caused my mindset to shift a little bit and get into that GJ trade, even though I shouldn't, right? This was an AA plus setup, no problem. NU was too. NU was definitely an AA plus setup. The GJ that I lost on was, like I said, probably a B at best. And there's just no reason to take those. We're only looking for 1 to 2 trades a day, so there's no reason to take those B pluses. You only want the A plus trades, and that's what we had here. We passed on it, and then we jumped in the GJ here. At this point here, even though price had decidedly dropped through the 55 twice and was nowhere near the 233. So with it being nowhere near the 233, the 55 now holds all the relevance. Right? So that's what we're looking at there. And that's what we're saying, that's what I'm saying when I'm looking for those A plus trades. So I'll keep doing training on this so you can see this in the group. Posting the videos in the group, guys. I don't want to post on my main timeline because I reserve that mainly for my residual income opportunity that I do with the $35 side hustle that we have with a really great company called HBA that pays 80% commissions. And I just don't want to get people confused on my main profile page. So the Forex trading is going to stay for the most part in the group. Okay, so if you need access to the group, message me. I'll send you the link. I'll approve you right away. If you're ready to get started with our company so you get access to our community indicator and everything else we have, drop me a note. I'll send you the link. Again, you can get started, pay for your membership, try everything out for 7 days. If you're not happy, you can get a refund from the company and go on to something else. Have a great day, guys.